Annual poetry reading we hope to continue next year, and it has been our tradition to invite the local writers, poets, fictionists, columnists, and this is to expose our students to the life of literature and also to look at the poets and the writers themselves. If the books say that they are like this, they are already seated there. You look at them, if they look like writers, you may meet them downtown. Don't forget their faces. These are our local writers. I will introduce them later in the second part of this program. Our program is divided into two. We have the selected student readers, and then we have our guest readers who are veteran writers in their respective fields. Let us welcome the chair of the department, the English department, for the background of circumstance, Mrs. Tina Navarro.
Welcome to the Poetry Reading Year 3 of the Integrated School. Personally, I always look forward to this activity as an opportunity to see the creative side of our students. At the same time, this also provides them the venue to experience how poetry is read by people who are not within the confines of the classroom. For the past 2 years, I can say that it has always been an experience worth anticipating. In behalf of the IS family, particularly the English department, I thank each one of you for coming over and making it a choice to spend the afternoon with us. To our student readers and their parents, as well as to our guest readers, thank you so much for responding to our invitation. Let us make this afternoon one of a kind as we listen to poetry, the world of words and its rhythm. Once again, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tina. I will first introduce our student readers. We will start with the grade 10. We have R.B. Bagyos. R.B. Okay. Princess Elliot. We have royalties also, Princess. We have Meryl Encarnacion. Aiko Yoshimura. Aiko, do you know how to speak Japanese? I'm going to read in Japanese for Grade 9, Billy Caballero. Aison Valdivia. Maria Clover. For the grade 8, we have Angelo Juarez. Rosemary Alabilio. Rochelle De Limos. Grade 7, we have Luke Lazatine, Trisha Olmedo, and Jorge Escobedo. We will have the student readers first and then our guest writers here. Now you may be wondering why we have to read poetry in public. First and foremost, poetry is usually a work in solitude. So it has to be justified why people have to read poetry in public. And if you recall, the history of the caveman started first with words. The Genesis started with words. And they say that the caveman first learned how to sing inside him. He learned first how to sing before he started to write. We are reading poetry because in the first place, God created the world out of the Word, which came from His being. And this Word became man, and man dwelt among men. And man had a lot of time naming all the things that he wants to name. For we all know that all these things we see and feel are a matter of being made. But why does poetry really matter? Because there are some things which are not easy to define. There are no names for deeper grief. There are no names for greater sacrifice. There are no names for true joy. There are few names for the space between my eyes and your eyes and the stories hiding in the corners of this place. Because sometimes we don't understand ourselves. Because the future is something that is always imagined. And because no matter what, poetry is still a cry from solitude, of taking the pains to say what others cannot say, in which In return, only one thing is asked: to be loved beyond words, beyond actions, and maybe for eternity. Let us welcome our first reader for the students.
Good afternoon, everyone. The poem we're going to read is entitled Accepted by Elizabeth Jenny. Accepted. You are no longer young, nor are you very old. There are homes where those belong. You know you do not fit when you observe the cold stares of those who sit. In bath chairs from the park, or find yourself in the dark, and see the lovers who in love and in their strife don't even notice you. There's a time to begin your life. It could be new. The sheer not fitting in with the old who envy you, and the young who want to win, not knowing false from true. Means you have liberty, denied you their extremes. At last now you can be what the old cannot recall, and the young long for in dreams, yet still include them all.
My love is of a birth as rare, as this for object strange and high. It was begotten by despair, upon impossibility. Magnanimous despair alone could show me so divine a thing, where feeble hope could never have flown, but vainly flapped its tinsel wings. And yet I quickly might arrive, for my extended soul is fixed, but faith does iron wedges drive, and always crowds itself betwixt. For faith with jealous eye does see two perfect loves, nor lets them close. Their union would her ruin be, and her tyrannic power depose. And therefore her decrees of steel, as the distant poles are placed, the love's whole world in us still feel, not by themselves to be embraced. Unless the giddy heaven fall, and earth some new convulsion clear, and us to join, the world should all be crumpled into a planisphere. As light so love oblique may well, themselves in every angle greet, but ours so truly parallel, the infinite can never meet. Therefore the love which us both bind, but fate so endlessly debars, is the conjunction of the mind and the opposition of the stars. I'm going to read a poem written by Dorothy Parker, entitled A Fairly Sad Tale. I think that I shall never know why I am thus and I am so. Around me other girls inspire, in men the rush and roar of fire, the sweet transparency of grass, the tenderness of April grass, the durability of granite. But me, I don't know how to plan it. The lads I've met in Cupid's deadlock were, shall we say, born out of wedlock. They broke my heart, they stilled my song, and said they had to run along. Explaining so to stop my tears, first came the parents, all careers. But ever does experience deny me wisdom, calm, and sense. Though she's a fool who seeks to capture the 21st fine careless rapture, I must go on till ends my road, who from my birth was cursed with hope. A heart in half enchased, archaic, but mine resembles a mosaic. The things become ridiculous. Why am I so? Why am I thus?
The poem I'm about to read is entitled Bilbo's Last Song, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. Day is ended, dim my eyes. The journey long before me lies. Farewell, friends, I hear the call. The ships beside the stony wall. The foam is white, the waves are grey. Beyond the sunset leads my way. Foam is salt, the wind is free. I hear the rising of the sea. Farewell, friends, the sails are set. The wind is ceased, the moorings fret. Shadows long before me lie beneath the ever-bending sky. But islands lie behind the sun, that I shall raise ere all is done. Lands there are to west of west, where night is quiet and sleep is rest. Guided by the lonely star, beyond the utmost harbor bar, I'll find the heavens fair and free, and beaches in the starlit sea. Ship my ship, I seek the west, in fields and mountains ever blessed. Farewell to Middle Earth at last, I see the star above my mast.
My poem is entitled Happy Feet. Tiny feet, sorry. By Gabriela Mistral. A child's tiny feet, blue with gold. How can they see and not protect you? Tiny wounded feet, bruised all over by pebbles, abused by snow and sun. Man, being blind, ignores that where you stand, you leave a blossom of bright light. But where you have placed your bleeding little souls, are redolent tuberous birds. Since, however, you walk through the streets so straight, you are courageous without fault. Child's tiny feet, too suffering little gems. How can the people pass unseen?
Good afternoon, everyone. The poem I'm about to read is entitled Poverty or Peace by Sonali Shah. Their skins soak up the heat, leaving it as black as a midnight sky. Their wide eyes white pleading, begging to the passers-by. They litter the street, half-naked bodies, red and coloring their feet, searching for an entrance, a door out of the circle of poverty. Poverty means destruction. Destruction means fear. Behind locked doors, we sit in early evening, too scared to seek a black face, terrified of black feet crossing the threshold. But why be fearful of your slaves, those who weep and weep, treating like the dirt from the doormat, where you wipe their feet? Role diversity causes poverty. Poverty destroys peace. But peace minus poverty means equality should increase.
The book I'm going to read is entitled The Castle of Dreams by Sharon Flynn. I am the castle, and you are the dream. I see your face as a cow at the dawning of twilight. It is you I behold, it is you I prepare my heart for. Come, dwell within this heart, sit upon my throne. For I await your presence, even as the trees capture the glow of all that you are. Hear these walls call out your name, for they need their king. How beautiful is the light that filters through the leaves and crowns the castle that dwells within. When the dark hour of loneliness invades our sacred place, your love sends the darkness to the vast sky of only you. Then I dream and call of you back to the castle, back to me, and you are no longer just a dream.
The poem I'm about to read is written by Billy Collins, entitled I Ask You. What scene would I want to be enveloped in more than this one? An ordinary night at the kitchen table. Not a wallpaper puzzling, white cabinets full of glass. The telephone sound. A pen tilted back in my hand. It gives me time to think about all that is going on outside. Leaves gathering in corners, black and green in the high gray rocks. While over the dunes the world sails on, huge, ocean going, history bubbling in its wake. But beyond this table, there's nothing that I need. Not even a job that would allow me to go to work. Or a coffee cart at Aston Martin DB4 with cracked green leather seats. No, it's all here. The clear ounce of glass of water, a small crate of oranges, a book on steam. Not to mention the odd smiling fish in a frame on the wall, and the way these 3 candles, each a different type, are singing in perfect harmony. So forgive me if I lower my head now and listen. The short blazed candle as it takes a Salle, while my heart drowns under my shirt, from at the edge of the pond, and my thoughts fly off to a province made of warm normal sky and about 1,000,000 empty branches.
Friends, good afternoon. I am going to read a poem by a Palestinian named Mahmoud Darwish. It is entitled, I Belong There. And this is the poem, I Belong There. I belong there. I have many memories. I was born as everyone is born. I have a mother, a house with many windows, brothers, friends, and a prison cell with a chilly window. I have a wave-snatched by seagulls, a panorama of my own. I have a saturated meadow. In the deep horizon of my word, I have a moon, a bird sustenance, and an immortal olive tree. I have lived on the land long before swords turned man into prey. I belong there. When heaven mourns for her mother, I return heaven to her mother. And I cry, so that a returning cloud might carry my tears. To break the rules, I have learned all the words needed for a trial by blood. I have learned and dismantled all the words in order to draw from them a single word, home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the poem I'm about to read is entitled, To a Gentleman and Lady, at the death of the lady's brother and sister, and a child of the name of Avis, aged 1 year, by Phyllis Whitney. Of death's domain, intent I fix my eyes, where human nature in vast ruin lies. With pensive mind, I search the drear abode, where the great conqueror has his spoils bestowed. There, the offspring of 6,000 years, in endless numbers, to my view appears. Whole kingdoms in this gloomy den are thrust, and nations mix with their primeval dust. It's a tale, still he gluts the ample tome. His is the present, his is the age to come. See here a brother, here a sister spread, and a sweet daughter mingled with the dead. But madam, let your grief be laid aside, and let the fountain of your tears be dry. In vain they flow to wet the dusty plain. Your sighs are wafted to the skies in vain. Your pains they witness, but they can no more, while death reigns tyrant over this mortal shore. The glowing stars and silver queen of light at last must perish in the gloom of night. Resign thy friends to that almighty hand, which gave them life and bowed to his command. Thine others, give without a murmuring heart, though half thy soul be fated to depart. The shining guards consign thy infant care, to waft triumphant through the seas of death. Her soul enlarged to heavenly precious praise, she feeds on truth, and forward with a filial love, methinks I hear her in the rays above. Invite thee there to share immortal bliss, unknown, untasted, in a state like this. With towering hopes and growing grace arise, and seek beatitude beyond the skies.
I will present The Dawn of Resurrection by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. In the silence of my chamber, when the night is turned deep, and the drowsy heave of ocean mutters in the sharp sleep, oft I hear the angel voices, which have thrilled me long ago, voices of my lost companions, lying deep beneath our sorrow.
But it is sad to lie and reckon all the tickets of faded tears, all the vows that we believed in, and all the words we spoken true. Smiling on the sun that cheers, rising lightly from the rain, never folding up our passions, saving to give it forth again. Brighter, fairer, fallen living, with no trace of woe and pain. Robed in everlasting youth, I shall see you once again, when the dawn of resurrection breaks over the deathless paradise.
Good afternoon. To my best friend, Miss Andrew, this is for the greatest person that I have ever known. Being away from you so long, I'm feeling so alone. With you, I am so happy to keep my heart content, but I had to be a volunteer, so off to England I went. That is where I found my heart, and how I feel for you. I tried so hard to deny this feeling, and I don't know what to do. I said that never again let someone take my heart, and I'm here, sitting, wanting you, and hate that we're apart. Every day, you're in my thoughts. Every night, you're in my dreams. I can't believe what's happening. Is this really what it seems? I know you're only wanting to be the best of friends, but I'm asking you sincerely if it's your rule you bend, to take a chance to know me, to let me share it all. And maybe one day, very soon, for me, one day you'll fall. Our friendship we now have is something that I've missed, but maybe once we let go, we will find eternal bliss.
It's difficult to speak Saint by Manuel Torres, because I no longer worship the saints with beautiful faces and hands of ivory. I do not despise them. I still envy their graceful gestures, their cool brows. O companions of my childhood, it was easier then. The air browsing on your gold leaf halos had no rumors of a rumbling life. Now, it is different. I stumbled into asperities of having to keep sanity and breathe together. Always into this banality of haste and the sham smile of my employer. There is, constantly, this waking into strange, unsilent wants of women without end, to whom it is hard to say no with a bald face. Thus, do I encourage the praying of women, lest my neglected saints still have power, to curse my fortune, such as it is in envy, of my potency in lake love of marriages. If only I could lock them up in the guilt of missiles for reconciliation with my worldliness, wishing to speak with me, but only in beautiful Latin I have since forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our student readers. Before we proceed to our invited guests, let us first listen to the grade 11 band. The grade 11 band won the SAC Battle of the Bands. I think that was last week, the February 14th, the player of the patio. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the grade 11 band.
Parked car, this night sky makes it like shine like diamonds. Awesome, plays on the radio. Whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, oh, oh. We'll live it up, make this night ours. We own, no wish this lasts forever. Alone with you tonight. But you feel so right. Parked car, this night sky makes it like shine like diamonds. Our song plays on the radio. Live it up in the city mall. This heart family, I surrender, arms raised tonight. Live it up and just a little more. This heart family, I surrender, arms raised tonight. Anywhere with you, anywhere with you. You drive me away, cause the night just feels like taking me away with you tonight. Anywhere with you, you drive me away, cause the night just feels like taking me away with you tonight. Anywhere with you. Park car, this night sky. Park car, this night sky makes it like shine like diamonds. Our song plays on, 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 our song plays on. Our song plays on. Thank you.
Christian, Sinjin, and Martin. We will now proceed to our invited guests. I'm actually excited and a little bit tense to introduce them, because these people we have here are really competent writers, and they are award-winning writers. I will introduce first, I will start with the lady first. Our first reader is a faculty member of the College Department of the University of St. Salle. She writes in fiction, but she recently found out that her forte is really in children's literature. Her stories, though, at a deeper aspect, are not just for children. If you have read some of her stories, it is also for adults. A two-time first prize winner of the PBBY Salanga Prize for Children's Literature. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeanette Patinto.
Good afternoon. I'm going to read to you from Papa's House, Mama's House. I am glad that the theme of this afternoon's poetry reading is As You Like It, because I don't really think my stories are in good verse form in terms of form and structure. But when writing for children, normally you should also have to follow the tenets of poetry, which are sound and sense, because very young children cannot read on their own. So ideally, it should be easy on the ear. So I hope that Papa's House, Mama's House lives up to that requirement at least. Papa's House, Mama's House. Anna, Bianca, and I live in two houses. There is Papa's house and there is Mama's house. Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we live in Mama's house. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, we live in Papa's house. I like it when I live in Papa's house. I play my toy trains with him, and he plays my toy planes with me. We eat pizza, hot dogs, ice cream, and noodles. Then we help him eat his rice and pork chops too. I like it when I live in Mama's house. I draw flowers with her and she paints rainbows with me. We eat pizza, hot dogs, ice cream, and noodles still. Then we help her eat her salad and pasta too. In Papa's house, we have a time for everything. A time to sleep, a time to wake up, a time to eat, a time to study, and a time to play. In our home with Papa, we have many rules. I don't remember all of them. All I know is everything has to be in their proper place, and we have to do things on time. In Mama's house, we have a time for everything too, but it depends on what we want to do with it. We can sleep early or late, eat a lot or not much. We study when we need to, and play as much as we want to. We only have 2 rules in Mama's house. Be honest and clean up your own mess. But sometimes it makes me tired going back and forth. It makes me confused too. I have clothes and toys in our home with Papa, and I have clothes and toys in our home with Mama. Many times I forget. Are my red shirt and toy train in Mama's house? Are my orange socks and watercolor set in Papa's? Sometimes it makes me sad too. My friends' papas and mamas live with them in one home. Why can't my papa and mama do the same? One day I asked Papa, Papa, why can't you and mama live with us in one home? Papa said, do you think trains and planes can travel together? And I said, I guess not. Trains go by land and planes fly in the air. Papa patted my head and smiled. The next day, I asked Mama, Mama, why can't you and Papa live with us in one home? Mama took out my paint set and said, let's mix white and yellow together. What color do you get? Yuck! We got the color of Bianca's poo-poo. Next, we mixed black and green together. Even yuckier! We got the color of Anna's poo-poo. And so I said, so some colors are pretty together, huh, Mama? Mama hugged me tightly. When I turned 6, it was a special day. Papa came over to Mama's house. He and Anna made balloons and put up my happy birthday poster. Mama and Bianca baked my favorite chocolate cake with strawberries on top. One by one, my cousins started coming over. One by one, my friends started coming over. When everybody had come, my birthday party began. Everybody gathered around me and sang the birthday song. With Papa's help, I cut my birthday cake and Mama served it. We played games and had lots of fun. Anna, Bianca, and I lived in 2 houses. There is Papa's house and there is Mama's house. Thank you.
Miss Jean, I think we touched a place we seldom visit. Our next leader is a major in political science and a minor in English literature from the University of the Philippines. He has a master's in public administration from the same university and a PhD in resource management from Michigan State University. He is currently a university professor at the University of St. Rizal Bacolod, a project manager with the rank of Assistant Secretary in the Higher Education Project Papua New Guinea from September 28, 1996 to June 30, 1998. He used to be the president, he was once the president of the Kalinungan University, Philippines from June 1, 1994 to 1996. He received the Outstanding Ilonggo Award for Excellence in Education, or Dugong sa Iloilo, together with Senator Dillon, Samuel Chan, and General Santiago. The Oblation Award for Education in 1995 was awarded by the University of the Philippines, Vanguards Incorporated, a non-profit national organization composed of the alumni of the University of the Philippines or RTC Advanced graduates. A presidential award for outstanding ceremonials in the Mili Valley, Dumaguete City, 2005. He was active in the theater arts in University of the Philippines. He used to write poetry, and this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to read to us some of his favorite poems and a personal composition. Please welcome Dr. Mervin Juarez Misahon.
Good afternoon. I was very glad to be invited and just share with you a facet of myself, which is that I just like to read and enjoy poetry. I didn't know that one of the qualifications of being here was writing one. I used to write love poems for my wife, but those will be published after I perish. So I would like to share my first poem. This is very short. One is by Alfred Tennyson. He's saying something about a departed, a dearly beloved departed. I just lost my son a year and a half ago, and as I was going through that point in time in my life, this poem rang so true for me. The title of the poem is Break. Break, break, break. On thy cold grey stones, O sea, and I would that my tongue could utter the thoughts that arise in me. Oh, well for the fisherman's boy that he shouts with his sister at play. Oh, well for the sailor lad that he sings in his boat in the bay. And stately ships go on to the haven under the hill. But oh, for the touch of a vanished hand and the sound of a voice that is still. Break, break, break. At the foot of thy crags, O sea, with the tender grace of a day that is dead, will never come back to me. The second poem I'd like to read is written by my wife. She was trying to start a magazine, Come Home to Panay, one of her poems. And I said, hey, that would be appropriate because I'm from Iloilo and right now I'm shuttling between the two places, Bacolod and Iloilo, commuting thrice a week. So her poem is titled Across the Sea by Marie Melanie J. Misahon. Across the sea. Here and there, away from each other, islands in the western seas of the Visayas, cut by deep blue waters, bound together by ties deep, unseen. Panay and Western Negros, sisters. Born of the same mother tongue, the same languid and melodious tone that wafts the melody of Castilian history in its soul and structures. Panay and Western Negros, sisters. Carved from the same Mother Earth, the same soil, that joyfully breaks itself to give one grain, the other sweetness, that fuels the dreams of the people. Panay and Western Negros, sisters. Hewn from the same branch of sturdy people, of the same spirit of hope that rises with ferocity when lean time comes. That the smile will remain in faces, the music will prevail in words, the songs will tarry in hearts. Panay and Western Negros, sisters across the sea. Thank you.
It's not exclusive for writers. It's actually exclusive for good-looking professors. Okay. Our next reader is from the Marian Missionaries of the Holy Cross. A fourth-year senior at MULTER College, a Bachelor of Education, secondary education major in philosophy, minor in English. He is a student of Miss Tina in the English literature class. Please welcome Brother Eric Maria Ho.
Good afternoon, everybody. I actually feel unworthy to stand in front of these great writers in front of me, but then I was invited to read here by my favorite teacher, Miss Tina. So I just read this. This is actually the 5th part of my Decalogue, and I did not bring the whole poem that I made, but then this is entitled the 5th argument. Let the fear horrify others' feelings. Let the emptiness turn the heart into an empty space. Let the being fill the space where it is, and let the face move the 1,000 ships. Let the love move the mountains. Let the other people love you more, and detach yourself when it is time to go. And let the judgment fulfill its purpose of existence, and let the existence prove its purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Eric. Actually, I was once also. The Marian missionaries have this YMC, the Youth Marian Crusade. And when I was in high school, I was also a trainer. And I did not become a brother, I became a teacher. It still sounds the same, the ER. We will now have our next speaker. I was reading his column when I was in high school, and still, I still read his columns every now and then because sometimes he talks about poetry and literature with a different kind of passion. Our fourth reader is a famous columnist with a loyal following, and one of the founding fathers of the Visayan Daily Star. A well-read man in literature, especially from the old masters, Tennyson, Shakespeare. He is a recipient of several awards in journalism, both local and national. A writer, a businessman, and a farmer. It is with honor that I present to you Mr. Primo Slayer.
Thank you. I love this poem, and I first met it 60 years ago. That was long before your fathers were born, when I was first year in high school in Iloilo City. This is the poem by the famous Sir Walter Scott Lochinvar. A beautiful love poem. Oh, young Lochinvar is come out of the west. Through all the wide border, his teeth was the best. And save his good broadsword, his weapons had none. He rode all unarmed, and he rode all alone. So faithful in love, and so dauntless in war, there never was a knight like young Lochinvar. He stayed not for break, and he stopped not for stone. He swam the earth river, wherefore there was none. But before he alighted at the Netherby gate, the bride had consented. The gallant came late. For a laggard in love, and a dastard in war, was to wed the fair Ellen of brave Lochinvar. So boldly he entered the Netherby hall, among bridesmen and kinsmen, and brothers and all. Then spoke the bride's father, his hand on his sword, for the poor craven bridegroom never said a word. O come ye in peace here, or come ye in war, or to dance at a bridal, young Lord Lochinvar. I long wooed your daughter, my suit you denied, Love swells like a storeway, but ebbs like its tide. And now am I come with this lost love of mine. Tread we one measure, drink one cup of wine. There are maidens in Scotland, more lovely by far, that would gladly be bride to the young Lochinvar. The bride kissed the goblet. The knight took it up. He quaffed off the wine, and he threw down the cup. She looked down to blush, and she looked up to sigh, with a smile on her lips and a tear in her eye. He took her soft hand, ere her mother could bar. Now tread we measure, said young Lochinvar. So stately his form, and so lovely his face, that never behold such a gallant did grace. While her mother did fret, and her father did fume, and the bridegroom stood dangling his bonnet as plume. And the bride maidens whispered to her better by far, to have matched our fair cousin with young Lochinvar. One touch to her hand, and one word to her ear. When they reached the hall door, and the charger stood near. So light to the cloak, the fair lady is swung. So light to the saddle, before her he sprung. She is won, we are gone, over bank, bush and shore. There have bleached steeds that follow, quoth young Lochinvar. There was mourning among graves of the leader by clan. Forsters, Fenwicks, and Musgraves, they rode and they ran. There was racing and chasing on Canobili, but the lost bride of Ditherby did they see. So daring in love, and so dauntless in war, have you ever heard of a gallant knight like young Lochinvar?
Sir Slayer, I was actually talking to him earlier that it is a ballad of the border. Lochinvar crossed something which is actually his fears, just to get something. In Tagalog, they call that harangan ng bala. He will still go. Our next reader is, he told me last time that he is a staple reader of this poetry reading. Recently won third prize in the Carlos Palaca Memorial Awards for Literature. That's equivalent to the Pulitzer Prize of America.
A few poems, not the whole book. The first poem is called The Seabird Love. The epigram is by Pablo Neruda. Es tan corto el amor y es tan largo el olvido. Sorry, friend, I do not agree. Love is wide like the wings of the seabird, though rarely glimpsed, we know exists somewhere. Maybe not here in the tropics, but somewhere in the colder regions. Yes, the farther away, the better, because it is not useful thinking about it. When we think of love, we think of oranges and fish on the table, maybe a glass of wine and bread, objects that don't prey on the mind. But really, it is there somewhere, far from the temperate zone, where with its wings, it breaks open the sky, and even where there is no sun, makes its own with the white arc, the beginning of a smile, a hand being lightly clasped, it takes with its two infrequent flights. The second poem is a poem about somebody who was apparently
an apprentice with Leonardo da Vinci in a studio in Rome while they were studying. And apparently he's obscure, nobody knows about him. So this is his pawn. Verocchio's studio. I was the one who sat to Leonardo's right. Perugino sat to his left. They don't even remember my name. I have painted nothing of consequence. Tried sculptures of horses for a while, but was middling at it. Went into business, sold apples at the street corner, where I would sometimes watch Leonardo pass by with his retinue. Never troubled myself to come up to him to remind him of our school days. He would have probably extended a hand and remarked, "Ah, I remember," even if he didn't. Not the kind of person one would sell apples to. Sometimes I wonder why all this is so. But then I catch myself and think that I am happy in my own insignificant way. When we are all dead, we will all count for nothing anyway. I have a feeling that nobody will remember Leonardo in a few centuries, despite the beautiful things he made. Oh, how I am sad for the beautiful things he made. And the last poem is taken from Illuminations and Sonorities. As Mr. Tavalas mentioned, this was part of the collection which won the Palanca last year. It's entitled You. It's also a poem about somebody from across the seas, like Dr. Misao. You. Waiting outside the dream, the boom of a ship's horn comes from the ocean beyond my fogged-out window, and farther away, rain falling on another country, words quickening beyond your new world upon waking. I had gone on ahead, hoping you might find beyond the ocean some trail, even if now scant with my scent as a child, brightened only by your leaning back to remember how with your young arms you had gathered me to the light, to tip me heavenward for your gift of laughter. Still, I could not guess if sound or even its scent would hold me up for recalling. All I know is how you had often slipped into my room, and while you thought I was unknowing, had leaned into my dream to tilt it so it would burn with a fierce tint of your unspoken love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Pandan. I was actually wondering what was the name of Leonardo's apprentice. And indeed, maybe Leonardo will not be remembered. It's the paintings which are remembered.